Okay.
we're gonna move this along.
Okay, we're up.
I mean, we can call it and then recess it, but we gotta call it.
Yeah, no, we'll move this along. Working on that one.
Saw that coming.
Sure, everyone will make. All right, call to order. Time is 5:42 p.m. Wednesday, October 13th. This is workshop commission meeting. Start with pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Yes, to that. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Commissioner Hodgkins?
Here.
Clerk Commissioner DeVille?
Here.
Mayor Jacobs?
Here.
We have quorum.
4, discussion. 4.1, goal setting. Town manager's minutes. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, first of all, I want to thank you for agreeing to have this. It's been a long time coming. I think we tried to set it up 2 other times, and we weren't able to have it. But I appreciate you guys agreeing to do this. One of the reasons, or the main reason why I really wanted to do this is because I think it's important for us as staff to hear your collective vision. I think what's happened over the years here, and this is just based on my observation, is that there wasn't really a clear directive from the commission as a whole, and it was individual projects and the individual pet projects on, from each commissioner. And there would be a lot of projects happening or a lot of projects being proposed. And so it would stretch the staff pretty thin, and then some would get done, some wouldn't, and then that would create animosity between commissioners amongst themselves. It would create animosity between commissioners and staff. It would create animosity between staff members. And I think that type of, management, if you will, is not very efficient or effective. I think what we need and what I would like to see here is a frank discussion about where you guys see this town 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. Because one of your duties as commissioners is not only to worry about the town right now, but it's to leave it off in a better position when you leave office for the future. So we have to think not only short term, but long term. And I think it'll be a healthy discussion because based on my research, I don't know if that type of discussion has ever been had. So with that being said, I'm gonna, we'll get started. Heidi will kind of moderate this.
So JC and I are gonna work together to lead you through this, but like JC said, it's really about you all giving us feedback. Harry and Jocelyn are gonna help us out by being our note takers. So everything you tell us, we're gonna put up on these flip charts, and then we're gonna put them together in some kind of plan and come back to you, and this will help lead us to future decisions, budgeting, and making sure we're all on the same page like JC said. So for this icebreaker, what we'd like you to do is just start sharing with us and shouting out when someone comes to Pembroke Park or thinks about Pembroke Park, what do you want them to see, feel, or do? So an example, just to get you started, is I think we can all agree we want them to feel safe. Is that something we agree on? So we can put under feel safe. What are some others? And you can go in any order, and we're going to capture it.
I think people should, when they come here, they should feel that the town is organized and looks presentable when you come into the town.
So organize, and then we'll put under C, presentable.
Or aesthetics,
Yes, aesthetics.
Yes.
Looking nice.
You know what, I'll jump in if you guys don't mind. I would want something for them to do is eat here in the town.
Restaurants.
Grocery store, coffee shop.
You can put shopping.
But we can also under do, restaurants, grocery store, coffee shop, and then we want them to see restaurants because that makes us look viable, right?
Yeah.
Makes us look successful. What else?
So you gotta take into information, a large chunk of Hollandale Beach Boulevard is not Pembroke Park, it's another town.
Correct. But,
So,
yeah, go on.
trying to separate us from that side of the street is a big difference. So, we have to keep our side looking 10 times better than the other side.
That shouldn't be too
Yeah,
hard.
right, it does.
So, look better than West Park. The good thing is, and I'm not here to represent West Park, is West Park has some upzoning along those portions. It's just not happening yet. So hopefully, as development comes through the Hallandale Beach Boulevard, you'll start to see it on both sides, and that only benefits us as well. Right? Commissioner
Yeah.
Goodell?
Right?
Are they in correlation
One
with
big
what
thing that
we're
I've been
doing?
on Since I got here, is that we eliminate exactly this. We eliminate all the paper in this town. The paper and ink cost this town a fortune. And it's ridiculous in the modern age of what we're doing. No one in this town seems to be able to use Access, PowerPoint, Word, Excel. These are all basic programs that everyone in this town should be utilizing. So when you have these presentations for us, they need to be digital.
Yep.
They need to be up to date. Get rid of all this paper. Then they're stored, and we don't have a problem, you know? We don't need to be printing out copies after copies after copies and copies for everyone here. So environmentally friendly.
Maybe we need a town app also,
The
Oh,
town app, because I think,
Town app.
you know what? You can put under feel, you can have them feel informed.
Informed. That's going.
Yeah, that's at their
in front of
fingertip.
the app.
And then in parentheses, or you can put app.
You, no, leave it there. Leave it there. It could be in more than one place. We're good. What else?
Could you have informative signage to give people directions to parks and,
Yeah,
Yeah,
wayfinding
wayfinding
signs.
signage.
A town sign updating community events and things that we have going on.
It is going crazy.
Banners along the boulevard is still part of the community.
Street decorations, basically, like street banners.
Signage, banners. Yeah, like the light post banners is what we're talking about.
How about like, and I'm not, this is for you guys to do, but an entryway feature? I remember the town years ago used to have this old clock, I guess, out on the Hollandale Beach Boulevard. I don't know where it is right
We
now.
have to talk to Todd Larson and find out what happened with it.
That's a lot of things do on Hollandale Beach Boulevard, but maybe we can install some bollards around it, perhaps, if we decide to put it back up.
Revitalization of the empty grow. We have empty warehouses, we have empty buildings, and understand that has a lot to do with infrastructure because everything's on septic over there. So before we can even update that area, we have to have a plan in place, update everything from septic to sewer. And again, I found money available for shovel-ready projects, but we don't have any shovel-ready to fix that problem. So if we can update the septic to sewer system here in town, we can revitalize that whole district.
What about people? Do we want to see more people, families, more housing?
Well, the way things are written here, mobile home park's always a mobile home park. So, if we get rid of mobile home parks, like it looks like one area's in the process or works to do, we lose residents by doing it. And personally, I don't wanna see that happen, even though I know we have to progress to keep revenue coming into the town. But residents are part of the community. So when you remove a section of housing, I mean, we really, in this town, if you look at Broward County, we are what low-income housing is. We have 17 mobile home parks. I don't know any other city that has as many as we do, that are the size of us. So it's the most affordable housing there is in Broward. So, that's kind of a big point to this community is affordable housing. Although we got double wides that have seen up to 400,000 now. So
Do we want, so what is our action item there? More market rate housing, more affordable housing, maintain existing housing? How could we make this?
Well, I'd like to see some of the older places, updated with, the term can be whatever, because they're all the same, they come in on wheels. So, you know, mobile home, manufactured home, you know, manufactured home's more considered permanent because it goes down on a foundation, where a mobile home sits on blocks. And it says it's mobile, but they're not mobile. Once they're there, they're pretty much there. So, yeah, manufactured homes, mobile homes, what's the other one, modular homes?
Now here along 52nd, we have some opportunities for other housing that's not mobile homes.
Yeah, those two lots are both for sale for, I think, 1.34 million each.
And then we have that lot next door that there's been some interest in as far as doing kind of a mixed-use type of development there.
There's some activity going on with those, two lots, so got, preliminary layout today.
Okay.
Should we look at the
We
tax
also need,
basis?
family-oriented businesses, less, less liquor stores and
I
convenience
think
stores,
everyone
that
in
sort
this
of
town is
thing.
in agreement that we have enough liquor stores for this community.
Okay, so less liquor stores, more
Oriented type businesses, maybe.
family-oriented businesses. I'm
Family-
sorry?
With as many mobile home parks as we have, maybe we should look at the tax basis for that and see if they're paying their fair share. I know I live in a mobile home, I pay very little really for taxes.
I mean, the way the way property taxes, I guess, are levied, it's based on property value, and when those were purchased, and it goes up a certain amount per year, I guess, by law.
You only, yeah.
So
you
you're
only
restricted
pay
by
your
law.
Tangible tax on your, like, as if for a car. The land is taxed the same anywhere in the city.
Yes, but we get pass-through taxes as well. So they divide it up, like in my community, there's 256 lots. It's divided up among those. Some are RVs, some are mobile homes. So the mobile homes get taxed more than the RV spots do because they're not full year round. So our taxes here is not exactly clear on how it all is. So something to look into that goes along with the fire fee and
Yeah.
going over, or
Right.
putting all of that together this year and
Diversified.
straightening out
Revenues, maybe?
our tax system for the year.
I put diversify revenues?
There you go.
Okay. What else? Anything else before we move on?
Well, the town's kind of dated, so maybe future development can be more modern for the future.
Okay.
All future developments could be up.
Harry's got modernized over there on the
Yeah,
wall.
modernize, but that's more for the.
That's more for the, as far as,
So modern,
Like s-
architecture?
Like street lighting and things like that possibly.
yeah, modern architecture, modern
Modern.
developments.
Actually, we just passed something, I think you were here for the update of all the LED lights,
Yes.
to update all our lights, and that was a deal that we did with FDOT, I believe.
Yeah, but I think along the line, I think FDOT, that was FPO. I think FDOT, there's a lot to be desired there, as the way that Hallandale Beach Boulevard is maintained. And I think they can do a much better job at that.
I will tell you, a car accident happened and took out a light pole within 24 hours at anyone.
Yeah. No, well,
The fence that they hit is still non-repaired, it has cones in front of it.
yes.
Anything else before we move on? This is just to kind of get some initial thoughts of the town. out.
Cleanliness of the town.
Cleanliness.
So, like street sweeper coming through. And I do believe staff does a pretty good job right now as it is, but
Okay, we're gonna go to the next one. So the next topic that we're gonna talk about is capital improvements. So we're asking you to think about what you would like to see. And I'm gonna give you a little spoiler that after this, the next topic after that, we'll be looking at our existing grants. So for roads and streets, infrastructure, and parks and town facilities, what is your dreams, your wish list? Think big. It's our job to figure out how this can happen or to come back to you with alternatives.
I wanted to see a combo fire police department, fire building, public services or public works building.
A public safety building?
Public safety building, there you go.
Yep.
I wanted to see us offering services and have a post office annex for the town. By having a post office annex, it gives us our own area code here. Because most people don't understand, our mail is divided between two post offices. It's Hollandale Beach and Hollywood. So by us having our own post office annex gives us our own area code. It makes mail in the town of Pembroke Park much easier. Then we will no longer have addresses that say Hollandale or Hollywood on them. It will actually say Pembroke Park. It also helps develop us into our own community as well, instead of just being branches or accesses of other towns. Like to see us put a passport, do passports, have a little passport office here in town as well.
So I would put these under town facilities, Harry.
Actually, I thought under program services, which is the next item.
Okay, we can, let's capture it here and then.
Let's
make
and
sure
we'll
we bring
transfer it over.
Yeah, thanks.
Doesn't the post office do that?
Usually
Passports?
Usually you could
Passports.
put it in the post office annex, but sometimes they're separate, so.
No, but I've seen cities that'll have services like that,
Coral
like
Springs does it.
do
That's
passport
City Hall.
services, like a couple times a month or something like that.
Green Acres in Palm Beach has a full-time passport office in their town hall.
Commissioner DeVille, thoughts on roads, streets, infrastructure, facilities?
Besides the cleanliness, I mean, I would like to see a real recreation center.
Recreation center under facilities and parks. What about roads, streets, because I've heard this from y'all before, the
Our
medians.
sidewalks, our bike lanes, to,
So roads and streets, sidewalks, bike lanes.
our sidewalks are horrible. Their roots have pushed up the sidewalks in places. We don't have a lot of bike lanes, so like Park Road, for example, between Hollandale and Pembroke Road, it's almost like an off-road road. The street itself is so bad, but there are also drainage issues. We still have flooding problems in town that we need to take care of.
Medians?
I would like to see undergrounding of our utilities. By taking our electrical underground, it's an expensive, long-term goal, but it helps also clean up the town and the look of the town.
Commissioner Hodgson?
Yeah, I go along with that. I think when you come into the town, you see all kinds of wires hanging all over the place, and some of these are really old. Some of them, these poles that haven't been replaced. And when you see stuff like that, it kind of brings it down just viewing it. So,
Some areas need better lighting also at night.
Here's some examples that you can see on the screen that we pulled up of medians and light poles. You can see in the top left is kind of more of an antique, traditional looking light pole. Of course, we all know the Hollandale Beach entry sign. The street signs that are nice and blue, that distinguishes your town from the neighboring towns. And then entryway signs as well. So if any of these inspire you, let us know and we'll get them up on the boards as well.
Our entryway signs look very dated.
So infrastructure. Yeah, roads and streets. Entry signs.
Our bus shelters look great, though.
Yeah, the new ones.
Those came out nice.
They
Those
did
came out
turn
nice.
the sign on the bottom left looks like it would direct you to a condo building or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is a community of a lot of condos. Actually, I think, JC, if I recall, when we picked these out, I like the one on the left, I know I do, and I think you like the one on the right. They have different ones.
Yeah.
If I recall, that's why we ended up with both in here.
I see.
Yeah, the one on the right has like mosaic tiles on it.
Uh-huh.
Nice. They're both nice.
Well, we could do different
Someone would
street
run
signs,
into it the
right?
day after you put it up.
Yeah, somebody will run into it.
Absolutely. I know.
The street signs, can they be different colors? So
Yes.
that's one way of distinguishing
Yeah,
our
that's
town.
all black.
from-
Another thing that we need to add in here is putting an electrical down the medians for when we do decorations for the holidays.
On the poles.
Under infrastructure, I know I've talked with Rob about it, updating our, automating a lot of our lift stations and pumps so they can be remotely monitored and,
Yeah, modernization of our utilities.
yeah, everything he's brought up.
You'll get a full presentation at the 7 o'clock meeting.
More than you wanna know, foresee.
Listen, I've learned more about sewer systems in the last 3 years than I ever wanted to know.
You're gonna learn some about today.
Great.
So our challenge as staff is to then take all of these and, find budget and grants and other funding sources for them.
Well, first of all, identify detail, identify the projects. And prioritize them, bring it back to you guys, because this will be a conversation that we'll have again, and we'll bring all this back to you, and we can narrow it down and focus it in a little more. Obviously, there's a ton of projects here, and it's more money, it's gonna cost more money than we can afford, but if you strategically plan it and budget for it accordingly, seek alternative, alternate funding, we can.
One big thing I wanna see is us rebranding this thing.
Rebranding?
Rebranding is huge because the reputation of Pembroke Park over the last couple decades has not been the greatest.
We're gonna
So-
hold that thought for programming, but we have it.
So rebranding, rebuilding,
Yeah.
and being the town that everyone's looking at, not laughing at. So,
Absolutely.
and I'm telling you, when I tell you all eyes are on us about this police department and getting that going, they are. So everyone's watching how we're doing it and how it's coming about.
Yep.
So,
So the next is, this is our existing grants that we have out there. And, I don't know if there's a way to zoom in on this. I didn't realize it would come up so small on the screen, but we do have it printed out because we want to be able to go through and cross off or circle what stays and what goes. This is a really important conversation, as you know, and we've been teasing this conversation for a while because most of these require a town match. Require the town to put money towards the grants. So I'll start walking you through on the big picture of them, and then JC's gonna talk more in depth with you, try to get some feedback on them. So under roads and streets, we have the bike lane and sidewalk improvements. This is an MPO program. This is an MPO grant. We are getting $30,000 from the MPO on it, but that's definitely not enough. So we would have to probably, our estimate is to bring in about 130 to 150 more to match it, just to get the design going and then eventually construction. We're just in the design money phase now. Similarly, 52nd Avenue Complete Streets, it's also an MPO program. That one for design, we have 144,000. Moving on to parks,
Before you move on,
absolutely.
under roads and streets, is there anything in there that you guys may not agree with? I mean, based on what I'm reading here, this kind of goes in line with some of the items that you were mentioning there, as far as bike lanes, sidewalks. The complete streets is basically that, right? You redo the whole street with walkability in mind, bike lanes, landscaping. So that's what that complete streets would be, but that's for 52nd Avenue. Obviously, if money would allow, we extend it, right, and go elsewhere and move throughout the town. But is there anything anything in that list that you don't want, you would want to add as far as roads and streets? Okay, all right, well, we can move on to parks.
So we're gonna leave them as is for now, as we can.
leave roads and streets alone.
Okay. So under parks,
Well,
we
as far
have.
as, hold on a second, Heidi, as far as road and streets, can we add, that area over there?
That's a very good point. He would, and it's a great point. This area over here, behind Town Hall, but these townhouses there, I believe those are public streets, they're not private. And the asphalt is in pretty bad shape, but I think what he's saying is refreshing the asphalt roadways where needed.
We're gonna add it to infrastructure, because these are existing grants. We could possibly identify other grants. I'll verify whether, I think they're public streets, I just don't wanna miss
Yeah,
right
because
now.
I drive by there
The thirties is what I call it.
pretty much
my-
daily,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
pretty bad there, and then also along Park Road.
So under parks, food forest improvements at Ryan Park. This is a linear pathway, it's a FERDAP app, and it's a grant for $50,000. We also have the ADA restroom, we prepared this so long ago, the restroom's actually open.
Let's start with the top one here.
Okay,
Now, I would like to see the walkway continue to go in. Continuing the path that we already have going down, which would be tearing down the fence that we put up that blocks part of the park off. The black fence that we voted, and I was one who voted on it, I think we voted unanimously on it, to put a fence up to separate the food forest from the park. But the problem is, it really divides our park and shrinks our park size down. When we have that entire area over there, if we're gonna put a walk path in, where the walk path can continue on a path through the park. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, you know, by this here and continuing that walk path, we have to rethink that,
Maybe-
situation.
Maybe opening it up.
And open the park back up, so it doesn't feel like the park is, lost half the park to some trees, you know? If we're gonna put picnic tables and open the park up, utilize that area in its entirety, instead of having the fence to separate it out.
we'll get with public services and look at any designs to make sure that you choose.
That way the walk path is continuous, you know? So it's like most other parks that have the big walking path around. And we have a lot of people to walk the parks in the morning and throughout the day over here. So if they get that little extra loop in.
Yep.
A little
Yeah.
extra time, so.
Because you have to loop and loop to make up miles in there, so. So as I stated, the ADA bathroom's actually complete, thanks to public services, so we can actually check that off the list. And then, the other under parks is we have a grant, through CDBG, which is for, lighting within the park preserve. So, in general, what are your feelings about these two existing
As
projects?
long as we're not cutting down trees for lighting.
Okay.
You know, that was the kind of most ridiculous thing I heard, that we were removing the trees of our park to put in lighting.
So for the CDBG one, we have a town match of about $35,000.
And having a public park that's lit also reduces the amount of crime that's gonna happen in our park. So
Okay.
I have no issues with that.
Do we have consensus on that?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little green check mark. Same thing with the walkway. I think it adds to the
It
health
adds
and
to the park.
safety, yes. Okay,
One of the things that I have noticed, and I think maybe we need to maybe include it into the other sheets there. All the parks, all the improvements that you see here to parks is only to one park. We do have Behan Park, and it's kind of like the forgotten park. But if you notice, if you've
Our Girl
seen,
Scouts love that park, by the way.
the Girl Scouts love it, and so do the termites. And
maybe on facilities, Behan Park. We're
you know,
gonna
so if it's okay with you, I want to make sure we don't forget about that park and think about it as far as
And
When we're talking
our new
about-
Public Works Director,
improving.
I'm gonna speak for you for a second, if you don't mind, that, building is full of termites and needs taken down.
Yes, I do have, I have some quotes going out. I've been working with Miriam and Stephanie.
Okay.
We got 3 quotes that'll be coming in, and it just wasn't scheduled for this.
No problem.
But I can talk to you at length about it. We've already identified buildings to put in.
We'll save it for the workshop.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect.
All right, so infrastructure, this is, a FEMA GP grant, and it's for 25th Street stormwater improvement. It's actually under design right now. There is it's about 25% match to it. The grant's 113, and the town is matching 37. As you know, we're under design with Craig A. Smith right now for it. The next is County Line Road Stormwater Collection. This is an MPO grant. We have 90,000 from the MPO on this one. I brought it up, I think it was at the last workshop or commission meeting. This one, in addition, so we would have to probably bring up a good 70,000 to match it to get a good design. We also have right-of-way
Yeah.
acquisitions associated with this one.
Yeah, one of the biggest obstacles into completing this, at least to completing it in a timely fashion, is that there are two properties, I believe, that we do not own the right of way. We'd have to acquire that. We'd have to compensate, buy the right of way, you know, from the property owner, so we can create the right of way. And that would allow us to do the project.
Can't put in,
Help if you gave some input on what you think we should do with this.
Honestly, with everything we have going on, this is a back burner to me.
That's the way I feel with it too.
This one is a back burner for right now, because we've got way too much going on here. I mean, we do have this, you know, we have a $90,000 grant. The night for design, it's not gonna get us it's not gonna get us the full design. We're gonna have to probably at least match 90,000.
Yeah.
I think. But then in the acquiring of the right of ways,
Costly to acquire those.
we just don't have that money.
And we're uneasy about it, and you hear that from JC and myself. You know, and I shared with you, we think that the county surtax oversight board is gonna start going to use it or lose it. So let's be honest up front and communicate with them that this is something, and all they'll do is they'll put it on the 2026, or I don't know if they're doing the 2030 plan yet. They'll just drop it back, and if it comes back up, you know, it's there. County line is such
Fires
a,
out around here.
yeah, county line's such a big animal, you know, half of it's ours, half of it's not, we don't have the right of way. So if you all are comfortable with that for now.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll probably have to do some work at the commission level to make that happen, and communicate with the county, so I'll research that and come back to you
There
with
were
that.
plans in the past for a flyover that went between Hollandale and,
Over on county line.
on
On
County
county
Line.
line, yeah.
And it would cut down on traffic, and Hollandale would cut down on traffic on the roads all going through here. Icebreaker, getting back and forth, it would relieve some traffic going that way. So we discussed it in the past about bringing this back up and seeing, you know, where they wanna go with it. But seeing FDOT's 5-year strategy on their off-ramps and getting force back from all three cities, you know, no one was happy about that situation. So, you know, we can throw it back out there again and see if they'd be interested in bringing it up. But that involves the county, that involves, West Park, North, or is it North Miami? Or no, is that Miami Gardens?
Miami Gardens.
Miami
Miami
Gardens
Gardens.
and unincorporated.
And
Yeah.
unincorporated, so it includes Miami-Dade County,
So
so.
you got everyone involved
Yeah.
with that situation, but it helps everyone out in the long term. So, you know, it's not a bad idea to keep floating around if everyone can come on the same page and get that done.
So the next one on the list under infrastructure is John P. Lyons, drainage improvements. This is a FEMA HMGP grant. The grant is for $684,000. The town match, like all of these, is about 25%, so it's 228. Harry, if I am correct, our match comes out of the stormwater fund for John P. Lyons. So this is not necessarily coming out of the general fund with ad valorem tax revenue, but it is coming out of the fund.
But we have huge problems over there with flooding, like to the point I won't drive my lifted rover down there. So.
Yeah, that's why we're, this project is on here and to.
This one needs to continue. We need to fix that problem.
So we have consensus about keeping this one? All right. And then the last category is town facilities. And the first one is the town hall wind retrofit and generator. It's what we call the Town Hall Hardening Project. If you've heard us talk about it, it's also a FEMA HMGP grant. The grant is for $482,000 with a town match of $160,000. And I just want to point out that this grant, the funds have to be used by March 2023. So we really.
My concern with this project, because let me start off by saying I really think we need this project. We need to upgrade the windows of this facility. We need to, at least in the immediate, because I mean windows are open. I can't even close some of the windows in my office, and I know in Melissa's office, right next to the spiders. I mean it's open. It doesn't close. So.
They fixed it,
Oh, okay, good. The problem that I'm having with this is based on some of the numbers we were receiving from the engineering firms. I think this project is going to come in at well over $1 million, and it's not going to be $600 plus thousand, which was originally, I guess, anticipated. And I don't know how these numbers were derived, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more money than what. And then the problem is that these are general fund dollars, so that's my concern now.
Is it possible for any other grants available for this project, or is it stuck to this one?
No. We can try to find other grants. You can always apply for another grant and use that as the match. But the problem we have here is applying for grants takes a lot of time, especially if it goes through the legislature. By the time you actually get a contract let's say it gets approved through this legislative session, by the time you get a contract, you're in around July, August of next year, and then you'll have only less than a year to get the whole project done, and that's my concern. I'd like to proceed with caution as far as without necessarily committing ourselves to spending money, but going out to bid, finally just getting something.
How about proceed with budgetary caution?
Yes, proceed with budgetary caution,
Right?
but get the prices in, basically, so we can see where we're at. Yes, that's.
Coat of paint helps a lot too.
Yeah, listen, but I don't want to put a coat of paint because I kind of want to get rid of that texture.
Talking like a stucco.
That's stucco or something over it. But you do that after you take the windows out, replace the windows, change the generators, and all that.
I also believe it's a necessity. As sitting in JC's office, it's hard to hear him sometimes with the AC running. And
I find it very.
Your office is nice and cold.
Yes, it's freezing, but it's. I kind of like that noise.
White noise.
It's kind of like white noise. It's nice.
This is a use it or lose it grant also?
Yeah, this grant already is, and Miriam, correct me if I'm wrong. This is where the 2023. That's already utilizing the extension.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is an extension. So I put a question mark here, meaning we're gonna come back with more information.
There are some major window makers here in Florida. I mean, they're major, some big ones. And
Yeah.
probably if they were contacted and said, we're interested in having windows made for, I'm sure they would have 200 contractors bidding on it in a heartbeat. So.
Yeah, 'cause it's the windows. I think it's the windows, the generator. Now, what else was there, Miriam? The roof. So it's a big job, but if we maybe can we bid it out separately?
That's what we know.
Do a bit, and get separate bids like that. Maybe we can act as our own GC, right, and do all do the windows of one, and then the roof, and then the generator. So we're continuing to explore that.
And then the final project, it has not been awarded yet, but we have applied for it, and it's for the Agro Education Center. This is a grant for $900,000, and it requires a town match of $1.4 million. So this is a good time to have the discussion of if we want our lobbyists and staff to still pursue this grant, or is it something that should
Can I
be
ask
put
you,
on the back burner?
because this was done before Ray and I were even here, what's the point of it? What are we gonna utilize it for?
I'm not really 100% clear what it was.
What purpose does it serve for the town and the community?
I'm not 100% clear on what it would do. I also don't think that when it was, I guess, discussed and planned, the discussion as far as operating costs wasn't really considered, because that's going to
the other
be.
part of it. After it's built, we gotta maintain it, operate it, and use it. So we're gonna have an empty building sitting over there with air conditioning, lighting, and.
And I don't actually. It's that grant was not awarded, correct?
Correct.
No,
So we did but no, they already made a decision. We didn't get it. We'd have to apply again for it.
So, in my opinion, I guess
Lieutenant?
Wrap it.
Lieutenant?
Can we use it for anything else?
There's the money.
there's
So
no
do
money.
you want us to go back out for it? Lieutenant? Okay, this was something we've been trying to figure out as staff, so this was very helpful. We're gonna move on now to program services and engagement. So just like we've been doing, if you could share with us, and a lot of what we've heard already brings up some of this. So I know Commissioner DeVille, you said to have a parks programming.
There's programs, summer camps, anything that bring community involvement programs.
Earlier, kind of just playing catch up on this earlier, you spoke also of an app, so we can put that over here as well under engagement, business and resident engagement. Do any of you all have other specific thoughts on how to engage the residents or businesses of the town?
One, we have all the email addresses of everyone that drives and that needs put into our, what's the system called? Code Red. Or Everbridge now, yeah, Everbridge. It's a data entry position. Someone needs to sit down, take the time, and upload all that information into there. We need the list from all our businesses, with the business owners, their email addresses, phone numbers, and add them in as well. And as a separate for business and one for residences. So when we have events, we have stuff, we can send that information out. But it's not ever happened.
So we're gonna add emails from businesses through business tax receipts, through BTR. Because everyone communicates an email when they communicate with us for their BTR, so we're gonna see what we can do about that.
Also, all our addresses of everyone that came through for our events,
Events,
our
yep.
food drives,
Yep.
our
Food
town
drives,
events.
yep.
We have all that information, but the data's never been put into the system. And I walk door to door putting flyers out. My family walks door to door putting flyers out. Joy walks door to door putting flyers out. We have walked this town many times over because that's the only real way to communicate with people is going door to door and putting flyers on everyone's door. So we need to modernize our communication with everyone. So we have the information, it's just not put in a place where it can be utilized.
So, kind of along the same lines, because engaging with them gets them to programs. I know that the town had a very healthy senior/Canadian programming structure years ago. I've seen pictures and awards or whatever. Is that, do we want to do, we talked about summer camp and parks program. Are we interested in engaging with our
I think the
seasonal residents?
Canadian group has their own program. Do you remember what that was called, JC?
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Coverage. Oh, there it
They
is.
have their own
Correct.
little group that does
Correct.
their own little.
Is it something the town wants to also
But we do provide some funding to
provide
it.
Just fund
the
it.
park for them and
Okay, okay.
It's a donation to it.
so, we need to adapt some new ideas in the town. Doesn't sound like much, but our little libraries, the analytics, people are using, there's only 2 right now, third one's on its way. I'll have it in about 2 weeks. And then-
Programs too.
But those little things people are using, I
For the-
kind of was shocked by how popular they've become, but the people use the app looking, trying to find where they are, and they come to them, and they go through all the books that are in there. And this morning, when we were out there, I was looking at some of the notes that people write in the book, you know, and they pass them along, and, you know, it's even to the IT guy.
What's the score?
So,
Stop watching the game back there.
but that's, it actually provides a service for the community. And we only got, it started with 1 box of books from Broward County. They donated, the library donated a box of books to my wife, and she started them. The Parks guys do still have some books over there, and they keep, you know, putting new stuff in when they need to, but, they're now on a rotation of books where they're keeping themselves going, where, you know, it's working as it should. So, I'd like to put another one over in Behan, and, I have one for Town Hall. Like I said, beginning next month, I'll have one for Town Hall. So,
Awesome.
those are great for the community, and everyone seems to love them, you know, anyone that reads anyway. So,
I do want to comment on the Everbridge. Deidre has been updating that and been adding to them. And we have, I mean, if you guys are a part of the system, you would have received a number of messages. So that's, you know, I was very proud the first time I saw one launched, and we've been using them for our services. So
but walking door to door, I don't mind going through shoe leather on it, but it takes a lot of time to get our community. So,
Circling back to something that we got before services was the passport office, so let's put that up there.
post office as well.
Post office.
post office,
Thank you.
and, as, Chevron mentioned earlier today,
The DMV.
the DMV, they're looking for locations. So, no one's a big fan of DMV, but it's a service.
I sent you a link a couple months back about a service certain city was offering. Do you
Was that
remember what it was?
The business? and-
Right, it was the business,
Small business workshops.
uniting the businesses with the residents, where the residents get a discount if they shop within
Yeah.
Like a shop
own
local type
businesses.
of,
Yes, yeah.
shop local
Right,
incentive.
something like that.
Promoting our businesses.
Exactly.
and
Well, me and
making the
JC,
connection
JC and I have talked before about the health fair that's done every year, and changing it up to a little bit, and,
Small
to
businesses.
like a Taste of Pembroke Park, or something of such, by some name, where we invite all our businesses to come set up in our park, set up a little booth, and exchange, instead of like, how most places ask for a little bit of donation for it, we have them donate toys in return, so we can turn around and utilize that during our, holiday, Christmas toy giveaway, to cut down on the cost that we spend on toys.
And we can, I like that, and thinking about it, what we can do is entice residents to come in by, you know, making it a community event, maybe with whatever music, some food trucks, something that won't really cost the town, you know, a lot of money, because you'll bring food trucks and maybe a couple of bounce houses or something for kids or whatever, but then have them, you know, display what they offer, and have them just, have the residents be able to go visit each booth and
And speaking of which, something I believe you'll have to look into, I had a call the other day, I haven't returned it yet because I don't have the info, but, someone was calling about a food truck in Pembroke Park.
They're allowed.
They are allowed?
Yes.
Okay, so someone was asking about that, so, you know, like a food truck night, or, you know, putting something, you know, together to
Both, all
here's the big problem in our town. We get all these visitors in the winter months, or these part-time residents that come in the winter months. Where we have 15,000 people here. We have nothing to keep them here. This is where they stay, but they go to Hollywood, they go to Hollandale, they go to, you know, North Miami. They go everywhere other than Pembroke Park, because there's nothing here. Frenchie's is the only real, big restaurant, or Frank's, there's a couple of places. But we really don't have anything to keep people here, so, maybe food trucks around the lake, in the warehouse district one night, or, and, music and food truck night or something, put something together maybe once a month or whatever, something similar.
That's not a bad idea. I was thinking, but the first thing that popped into my head was the parking lot there at the park. You can separate a section, have a bunch of food trucks on there, and then keep some parking for if people drive there or whatever. Maybe even partner with Pinnacle. I think it's Pinnacle, right? The nursing home right next door. They have this little, the Peninsula, not Pinnacle, the Peninsula.
We know it was a few words.
Yeah, and you can. We've used their parking area before. They have like a little extra area there.
And another thing would be, a farmer's market here in town. The closest thing we really have is yellow green. But farmers markets are extremely popular in towns, to bring people in,
Especially in this post-COVID time period. I know our family likes to do the outside wandering on the weekends.
Us too.
Yep. We've talked about the Dania Point
Yep.
Friday night.
You know what I've seen a lot, and I've done this before. We've set up outdoor movie nights.
Yeah.
Big screen, something that goes
I'd like to have our police department functioning before we do that.
Commissioner DeVille, you had mentioned like things that promote community involvement, that type of activity there.
I'll back up what JC's saying. The town he used to manage, my daughter went to school there, and you had to go to movie night. It was where every kid in town was, where every family was. I mean, it brought everyone out. It was a great way to engage the community, and it was a blow-up screen and a speaker.
Yeah, blow up screen and a speaker. The most expensive thing
Is the movie.
because you have to, in order to buy the rights to air it, to show it to a large crowd, you have to pay for it.
I'm gonna give a cheap plug to Dania Point for a minute. On Friday nights, if you guys haven't been over there, they do a little art walk. They shut down a whole road over there, and they have a bunch of vendors that pop up. I mean, that whole area is really, really developed. They opened up
The
improv. The improv's
yeah,
now
I saw
open
that,
now.
yeah.
They built up a nice facility over there. So I'll give them a little plug on that. But on Friday nights, it's great just to go up there, walk around. They got a splash pad for the kids to play in. Of course, strategically set right in front of the Haagen-Dazs. But but they're putting in a little turf area for the kids to play. It's nice, but their little art walk is great. So something more with the farmers market, something that involves the community. We used to do a lot of the food drives. All through COVID, we did it with Feeding South Florida, and we still have that option to continue doing food drives. Not on a weekly basis, because that was very draining for everyone in the town.
But maybe if you do like once a quarter or
Once a quarter would be great.
couple
I'm sure
or
they
a
would
few
love
a
to work with
year.
us on that. You and I had a great conversation with the
With the president over there.
and they have great programs too that they're helping out in the community, and and putting they got a warehousing program. They have
A workforce program, like they're
Yeah, the
putting people to work. They go through like their little educational.
So is that
culinary
engagement
program.
or
That's
partnering with
partnering with
Feeding
our
South
local
Florida?
businesses.
Or
Partnering,
specifically with Feeding South Florida?
Feeding South Florida with our food
Yeah,
drive.
yeah. Mr. Hodgkins, what would you like to see and this is.
Well, just to get
collaboration
back to
with
what
the
they were
town.
talking about, having the theaters and stuff, that I was in a small town in Salem, Mass. And believe me, they used to do that once a week, and the place was packed. It was in a park, park setting. They did have food trucks, but they were off to the side, so if somebody wanted a drink or something, they could get it. It was there. And they actually work, and the turnout was like fantastic. And then on an alternate nights, weeks, they would have a concert, like classical type stuff.
Oh,
And their services, I want to add one more little thing. Community, I don't know what it's called here in Florida. It's got another name. Legal services is called something else.
Legal aid.
Legal aid. Yeah, they call it legal aid here. But, we got to keep in mind, 36% of our community is below the poverty line, and, having access to legal services is very difficult for a lot of people. So, legal aid or community legal services, they help in that area. bringing something in to help the community, you know? So,
That's a good idea. I think one of the strengths of this town is obviously our business district, our commercial properties, and I think we haven't really tapped into that
I will tell
resource.
you, when I walked door to door the day before Thanksgiving, giving out all the COVID information, it was the first time most of them had ever seen a commissioner in their business or that they've met. And that was when Lucy and I, we spent that whole day after we left here and we went business. I think we finished like 5:30 that night and we called it because everyone was closing doors in our face. So, but that was the first time they'd ever met anyone from here. They've never had any involvement with the commission and with the town. So we have all these great businesses here. We have some very interesting little businesses here. You know,
Big and little business.
big and little. You
What
know?
about some kind of way to bring the business owners in, the large business commercial landowners, and do some kind of business task force, a blue ribbon committee where we get direct feedback from them? I've worked in other towns where we've done that, and
Like a business district committee.
yeah. We did it in Wilton Manors, the Economic Development Task Force, is what we called it, and it was either business owners or commercial property owners, and a couple residents as well to balance it out. So is that something you all would be interested? I know we have issues with getting people to be on our board.
Trying to get people involved,
Yes.
community involvement is the biggest and most difficult problem in our
Do
community.
both. Yeah, but if maybe this isn't our residents necessarily, these are our business owners, so.
But look at our commission meetings, you know?
Yeah, but you need that interaction, you know, without it. They stay out in the cold.
Coming to meetings for a while.
Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, senior helpline, maybe?
A senior helpline for services? Thank you, I like it.
It's actually a really good one. That one is.
It's a big part of our population.
Exactly.
I would like that when I get older.
I'm ready for it. Okay, so the next is, of course, my favorite topic, land use and redevelopment. So what do we want the town to look like?
Functional.
So we're gonna talk about types of businesses, building styles, and let me refresh my memory, types of residences. So let's talk building and redevelopment. And I'll throw this out there because I've talked to each of you about this before. Let's have the conversation about 30th Avenue, where we're doing the septic to sewer study right now. Do we want it to continue to be those businesses there, or do we want to take some bold moves and do some land use and zoning changes and attract something different?
I don't think the other two commissioners are privy to the meeting we had about was the 5-story building? With
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yes.
Oh, the one on 30th. But that was just
Well, they've gone
preliminary.
through DRC once, and I actually talked to them yesterday, and they're stuck. They can't attract possible users for the building because of our code. And they're talking hotel, an auto showroom,
See,
or a medical, like, office, like a large
the
medical
conversation of
facility.
redeveloping that into some kind of auto district, because it's between the tracks and the freeway, that is industrial as it comes.
Yeah, there's no residential
There's
near.
no residential. I would not want to stay at a hotel right in between a freeway and active railroad tracks, you know?
There's a lot of hotels
I
up
know
and
there
down
are,
that corridor.
I know there are.
A lot of business travelers. Yeah, Sterling Road, Griffin Road, Sheridan.
Hollywood Boulevard. I mean, those are those are the business hotels. People come in there, stay a night, 2 nights because they have meetings, and or they're traveling up and down 95.
I thought changing what we could do with that area and making that, you know, I don't know how to even define that building.
So like auto sales, auto showrooms. So put that up,
Vertical-
30th and auto.
Vertical auto showrooms, not like the traditional parlance. These are very different.
And then, and put,
Carvana.
a tower. Put under it with design standards. So,
You don't want to, yeah, you don't want a car lot.
Right.
You
No,
want,
I don't want
make
a
it a
car lot.
district, make it an overlay district. If you can write that too, so I remember that. So we met with, a potential
Overlay district.
developer. It went through DRC once, the Development Review Committee, which is the staff level committee for an auto showroom. All glass, about 5 stories, and that's what they want to put over there on 30th where there's the empty lot. The issue is our zoning code does not allow any auto sales in the town except for one specific property, and that's where Wawa and all those are going in. So we don't allow auto sales. We get calls all the time for auto sales. I understand why we don't allow them, because that's not what we want Hallandale Beach Boulevard to be, because we know then it would be the small lots and used cars. But is the mayor brought up making 30th perhaps along the highway, taking advantage of that?
Well, I guess you gotta go back historically, so everyone knows that used to be a strip of antique stores. And the antique stores moved online as things transitioned, and the antique stores kind of disappeared out of there. And then it became other kind of businesses that it's never went anywhere. The street itself it's all on septic. The whole area needs updated. I don't know how long that warehouse has been empty, Jocelyn. You've been around a long time.
1730.
Yeah, the warehouse on the corner of Pembroke on that. I've been here since 16, and it's been empty since then. So, we're talking. There's a lot of empty places over there.
So I like the idea of an overlay district, but do we want to limit ourselves to those type of uses, that use? Are there other uses? You might not stay in a hotel there. I'm gonna engage with you on this,
That's fine.
but are we opposed to having hotels there?
I'm not.
I'm not opposed to it.
So, and again, if you could put on like the side for all of these
I
30th.
am opposed to extended stays, because the extended stays do have the option of, using them as Section 8. So that would be very, very different than from a hotel. The extended stays is where it could bring
We'll have to
problems
look
to
at,
the
yeah.
community. So it's something we're gonna have to look
Yeah.
into.
What about Hallandale Beach Boulevard? I mean, look at it as a blank slate, sorry. We do have new development coming in at the 6-acre site. I think that's gonna, wake up some people as to what can be done here on the south side of Hallandale Beach Boulevard, of course. It's narrow lot, so it's kind of limited what you can do. But what is your dream, when you're driving down Hallandale Beach Boulevard, what would you like to see different?
Grocery store,
Grocery store,
restaurant, coffee shop with a drive-through.
coffee shops. So, with the drive-through.
I've been beating this for almost 3 years now, so.
So let's talk about building
Right, that doesn't mean
styles, while we're
sit-down
talking
restaurant,
about
though.
these, building styles. So right now, the height limit along Hallandale Beach Boulevard and that 95 area is 100 feet. So it's about 10 stories. If it's a modern building, it's more like 8 to 9 stories, because they get more height in there. So are we okay with keeping it at 100? Do we want to go taller?
I do not.
Okay, so if we can put under building styles, maintain 100 feet. Our density in town, this is for residences, is 25 units per acre. So how does that look? Next door to us is a 7-acre site. So it would be 175, thank you, Harry, that's why we have them here. 175 residential units next to us at a maximum height of 100 feet. Do we want more residential units, or we want to
Nope.
keep it at
the same.
25? 25 is pretty much
That's kind of
the standard, the gut check for most cities, unless you're one of those coastal cities where you see those towers. So we want to maintain density, maintain current standards. So you want to, under building styles, for height and density.
That's about 8 stories.
Yeah, because they're going to give us 12-foot heights
Right.
in there, in most units are 12 feet now. Right. So, types of residences. So we talked about this a little before. are we open to having more multifamily? Don't worry about where per se, but are we open to having more multifamily townhomes come into the town, be it on Hallandale Beach Boulevard or the redevelopment of mobile home parks by the property owners, because we can't do that as a town on our commercial sites.
I think we need to keep the mobile home communities as we are keeping our town as an affordable
Maintain
living.
mobile home communities.
You know, I would like to rather see the broad range of what they're defined as change, and maybe updated, so
Yes.
if someone does bring in a nicer place.
So put under that as well, modular homes. That's something that's restricted right now, per the code, and the charter doesn't allow us to update that right now, so that's something we'd have to look into. Building styles, not so much architecture, but one of the things that Jocelyn and I talk about almost on a weekly basis is the windows of our existing businesses. Our code doesn't regulate what you can put in your windows. So we have some businesses that are completely covered in advertisements. I can tell you from a professional standard standpoint, that's something that's not necessarily we like. It's not attractive, and then also the chief would tell you it's not safe, because the police want to be able to see in and out. So we have been talking about coming back to you with sign regulations, and I wanted to see if you love having the windows covered, or if you're open to us exploring some regulations in that sense.
I don't like the covered look either. So.
Okay.
I think they should be able to advertise whatever it is that they're selling, or whatever their product is, have it in the window, but that, cover with signs doesn't make.
Right, to have a
That
percentage.
doesn't help you, you
Yeah.
know.
Jocelyn, what's the current percentage?
None, whatever you want.
I thought we had we do?
It's just
It's
for,
40?
no, it's just for temporary signs, there's a percentage, for
permanent window signs, there's no.
her hands are tied.
So you're saying they could black out completely window?
And that's what happens now.
That's gotta change.
Put the big open sign in the middle that flashes open.
Yeah.
Yep, we got.
Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping it up now.
Yeah, this is wrapping it up.
The one thing I will say about the mobile homes is you have to keep, it's obviously it's in the charter and it's protected, and they're protected from the town changing anything, but you have to be cognizant of the possibility that if one of the mobile home park owners or a mobile home park owner, they sell, and we've seen some of the, or at least one of them sold, or they just sold it to another mobile home park management company. But you have to bear in mind that there may be, a sale or something like that, and so you have to be ready for when that happens, what you want to see, because if somebody sells their property and then somebody comes in and says that we want to do something, or we want to develop it into whatever.
Well, they want to take out a mobile home community to put in a Home Depot. They want to get rid of our residents to put in.
I'm just
using as an example, Walmart or whatever, but
we have to
we
be.
lose our residents.
I get
We're
it.
down to
So what's the
6,700 residents.
So that, but what I'm saying is we have to be ready for if something like that happens. We don't want to be
Our
caught.
charter has that locked in there.
No, it doesn't.
Only if it's the town that tries to change the
Prop-
land use.
Property owners can do
Property
it.
owner can come in and do it, no problem.
That's what.
Isn't there something in the law in Florida for keeping or for residents having?
So there's something in the mobile home statute which requires us as the town.
Right.
If somebody comes to us for a land, I litigated this.
Right.
I was in a fourth
Okay.
PCA opinion on this, which and it was a Hallandale Beach case, requires the town, not the applicant, but the town, to make sure if they're coming in to do a zoning change to a mobile home park, the town has the responsibility to make sure that there's adequate affordable housing if the mobile home park were to go away. So that's on us.
Okay.
But that's the state law, that would have to be factored in, but in terms of our charter, the protection is only if the town wants to make the land use change, not if the property owner is the applicant.
So that's why I brought that up, because I want you to think about it, because that's always a possibility, you just don't know. And so I'd rather get ahead of it, be ready for it in that case, what would we do?
Well, what comes to mind is we have one community that has an abundance of violations, not mentioning what that community is, has an abundance of violations, and I don't see the funds of, them bringing that back up to where it needs to be, you know what I mean? And that's a particular location, I can see a lot of foreseeable problems with that in the future, so,
So what JC is saying is, do we want to start thinking code-wise to be protective in a sense, no big box, but yes, multifamily housing? Or, and they could rezone to whatever they want, but if we have some clear guidelines and feedback, and we can continue this conversation another time,
here's the
we
thing,
have to
we
be
only have
prepared.
so many residents.
Mhm.
We're half industrial, quarter commercial, quarter residential. We need to at least protect our residents here.
Agreed, agreed, it's just, that's where we're talking about, right? Because if somebody comes in and they buy one of those, they buy one, and they say, well, we want to put this in, that's where we can, at least put some type of standard, some type of,
I got you.
we can steer them what we would want to see, so we don't lose
If I
residents.
can make a suggestion, because we want to get to our 7 o'clock meeting, the Charter Review Committee, this is protected in the charter, they're doing their work now, and I think perhaps once you get the recommendations from the Charter Review Committee, we perhaps have another workshop, JC, where we just talk about housing and mobile homes and
And
the way to proceed on it. And it will give you some time to work with us, come up with ideas, because we see it coming down the road, so we need to know what the town's stance on is when the private property owner decides to change.
I am in no way suggesting we change the charter
Correct.
for the town to make those changes. But the charter is very clear that the private property owner can do it. It gives all the power to the property owners, which is fine. I get it, but we need to be prepared. So this will be a discussion that we'll have again in the future, but I just wanted to put that on your radar because it's always a possibility.
I saw one instance where they actually passed some kind of law or whatever in the town where they required when the sale of the mobile home park went, that they were required to actually give people their value of their mobile homes.
Yeah, we could-
Not the $3,000, but the actual value of it,
Right.
as if it was a
You've
a
seen
house
it
or whatever.
as that was a city's regulation?
Yes,
We can
that
explore.
was the requirement of them to sell it. In other words,
Yeah. So that's something that we can look into that.
Well, I thank you for the time, and like Stacy said, we're gonna come back to you with a report and, continue this discussion, but you've given us a lot of direction for moving forward.
We still need to finish the meeting then.
Thank
We
you.
have, number 5, attorney comments.
None.
None.
Town manager comments.
None.
Commissioner comments.
Oh, we're gonna start the regular meeting now anyway.
no comment.
None? Okay, and none for me. No announcements, all right.